Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's been a week or something along that line since I last came in here and I um, went live. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm live. It looks like I'm live. Just going to make sure that the sound is working as it should be. And it is. I can hear myself, I can see myself. I am happy with that. So it's been a while. How are you all fantastic people doing? How's business going? Where are we now? The 16th of February. January just came and went. February started. We're already on the 16th of February. How's things going? Let me know in the chat. Are you booking as many calls as you wanted to book in? Are you generating as many leads as you wanted to generate? Are you making as many sales as you wanted to make, as you predicted to make? Did January go the way that you wanted it to go? Or is it the same old, same old? Are still the same. Nothing's changed since last year. So I wanted to jump in here and I wanted to have a conversation with you. Um, really talk about what it takes for things to work at the level that you need them to work at for you to generate the results that you want in business. Now, what I am not going to be talking about today is strategic, tactical things that you can implement into your business to get clients, because there's a reason why I'm not, right? It's because I know, right, that this is not the only Facebook group that you're part of, right? Come on, cards on the table. Let's be honest here, right? This is probably one of the places on the internet, right, in Facebook groups where we can have an honest conversation, adult to adult, right? No airs and graces, no BS, no. Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real, because I know a lot of people are not willing to keep it real. If you don't like having real conversations about real problems, right, about what it actually takes in order to grow your business, then potentially this group is not for you, and I'm not for you, and I'm happy with that, right? Just be happy with that for yourself and move on, because everything I do is based on real conversations with real people that want real results. They've got real problems and they need a real solution. They need to have real conversations about what's showing up, what's stopping them from moving forward in order to get those results. Right? But that is what coaching is about. That's what coaching is about, having real conversations. If you're a coach and you're not willing to have a real conversation about what's holding you back from growing your business, then then chances are you're not willing to have those real conversations with your clients. So I kind of like jump straight in here, right? I've gone in the deep end already. So what I want to talk about, by the way, if you're catching me live, let me know, hashtag live. If you're catching me on a replay, let me know, hashtag replay. If you've got any conversations, any questions about what I am going to be talking about in the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, then, feel free to ask those questions in the chat box below. If anything shows up for you, if anything resonates with you, if you get like an epiphany moment or a haha or a breakthrough or a realization of something that potentially is blocking you, stopping you, challenging you, creating these frustrations, that potentially it's like, okay, right, I get it, I see it, I understand it, Andy's brought awareness to this, then let me know. Right? Let me know, because I like to know I like to know where I'm impacting. I like to know what conversations is helping you to have the transformation, right? Okay, so let's jump into this. So I've titled this training. Going high ticket is less about them and more about you. Right? It's less about them and it's more about you. I typically get, or one of the typical conversations or typical questions that a lot of coaches will ask me is, Andy, well, I want to charge $3,000 for this. Will the marketplace buy this? Or I want to charge $7,500 for this. Will people really pay this for what I'm delivering? Right? Or I'd like to attract like $10,000 clients. I'd like to charge $12,500 for this. Do you honestly believe that people would actually pay this, would actually pay me this, right? And straight away, what they're doing is they're making it all about them and less about themselves. But when you step into the IT world, when you decide that you know what, I want to sell my offer at a premium price point, right? Instantly, it's less about them and it's more about you. Let me explain. Let me explain. You see, what we need to understand is you are not the first coach ever or the first expert ever, right, to want to go into this marketplace and to sell at this price point, right? We cannot be that naive to believe that nobody's ever done what you want to do before, right? Would you agree with that? Let me know in the chat. If you're catching this on replay, let me know if you would agree with that. Right? There's been people that's done what you want to do. There's selling at the price point that you want to sell it. There's people that's gone before you. There's people that's already doing it, right? Would you agree with that? Let me know in the chat if you agree with that. So if we know that, if we know that there's people in the marketplace that are already solving the problem that you solve, and they're already selling it for $3,000, $10,000, $12,000, $20,000. If you know that there's already people that's solving problems and providing solutions in the marketplace that you can provide and they're selling at that price point, then you already know it, right? You already know the answer to that question. So what that means, right, and what you need to understand by that is that the marketplace and the price point has already been validated. Already been validated. Right? You don't necessarily need to validate it. You need to validate it for yourself, right? But other people, the marketplace has already been validated and the price point has already been validated. Yeah, it's just not happened for you just yet, right? So you've personally not had that experience, but other people are experiencing it, so you can leverage other people's experience by understanding and seeing and accepting, okay, there's people in the marketplace is already buying at this level, so I just need to get them to buy from me at this level, right? So, but by changing that question around and putting it on them and taking it off you, right, shows that there's restriction. There's some restrictions there. So let me get deeper into the conversation that I want to have with you, because you'll be aware, right, already. And if you're not already, of who I am, what I do, and how I help people, and the results that I help people produce, is that I've been helping people to generate leads, book calls, generate sales, fulfill their coaching offer, sell inside ticket price point for the last, shall we say, 8 years. I've been in business for the last decade plus, right? Not had any other financial support. I've stood by myself, stood on my own feet, and I've built my business by myself, and I've money from my business, right? And built a multi six-figure business, helping, and then my business has pivoted throughout that time frame, right? I've gone from a service provider through to a consultant, through to a coach, and then a mixture of them both, right? And mentor, and at every level, I've added more stuff to my as I become more masterful at my craft, right? I've just got better at what I do, right? Anyway, so I help coaches, right? Talented, ambitious coaches to package what they do into a premium product offer that they can sell at a premium price point that nobody else in the marketplace has got what they have, right? Because it's packaged, so it's unique and raw towards them. And I show them how to sell those offers at the price point, attract better quality clients, high ticket clients, and I show them how to deliver their program, help them to deliver their program so they can hit 100K a year, 100K quarters, 100K in 6 months, whatever it is that they want to achieve, right? So typically what I find is that when coaches come to me, right, they already know a lot of stuff. They already know a lot of stuff. And when they come to me, they've already been down the road of buying into coaches, buying into mentors. They've already invested in products, courses, programs, right? And they've never got the result. And despite of them like downloading all these worksheets and blueprints and being part of all these Facebook groups where they're all doing lives and they're all sharing the SOPs and the processes and trainings, right? Despite of having all this knowledge and having access to all this information, they're still stuck. They're still stuck, and it doesn't matter what they do, how they implement it, right? Nothing seems to work. Now, if you've experienced that, let me know, right? If you're feeling that frustration, there's like, oh, this again and this again, and I've heard that before, and well, I already know that, right? Let me know in the chat, right? Have you experienced that? I know you have. I know you have, because I just know, right? You've been around the block. You've been around the block. But nothing works. Nothing works. It doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter what strategy you implement or you execute on. It just doesn't work for you. But also equally, right? It doesn't matter how good of a coach you are. Right? You might be a world-class coach, right? But just because you're a world-class coach doesn't necessarily mean, excuse me, doesn't necessarily mean that these strategies are going to work for you. And it doesn't necessarily mean also that you're just going to magically attract better quality clients that's willing to invest at a premium price point, right? Just because you're a good coach, that's not the case. I know, right, some amazing coaches, right? And some of you guys are actually inside this group, right? You're actually amazing coaches. Yet despite what you do, and despite how good a coach you are, despite how long you've been in coaching industry, things stay the same, right? Things stay the same. And I've just been having this same conversation with our clients inside the Six Figure Portal, around the same conversation, right? The same topic that I wanted to bring and shine light on for you guys as well, to help you to see potentially, well, it's not, you don't have a strategy problem. You don't have a business problem. You don't have an offer problem. You don't have a marketing problem. You don't have a messaging problem. You have a you problem. You have a you problem that's reflecting on your business results, right? You have a you problem that's reflecting on your business results. And it doesn't matter what you try to execute on. It doesn't matter what you try. Nothing works. Nothing will ever work unless you solve this problem. Unless you solve this problem. So I want to share like one thing with you that if you work on this, what I'm going to share today, right now, you will take things to a whole new level. I guarantee. I guarantee. If you execute on this, if you embrace this and work on this, implement this, execute on this, I can guarantee, right? You do this for 30 days, I can guarantee, right? You will generate bigger, better results. And if it's not if it's not within 30 days, right, it will not be long after, right, that you start attracting better quality clients. Let me share a story. So when I first started, so the story was for me is that I was in sales, and then from sales I got made redundant. The company made some bad financial decisions. I'd actually been headhunted into that company. The company made some bad financial decisions. I'd actually, within a space of 6 months, added on just over an extra 1.5 million in new business, right, for this new company. But prior to that, they made some bad financial decisions. They're actually only a small company, so they went under. So unfortunately, I was out of the door and I'm being made redundant. So I'm there and I'm thinking, okay, so what shall I do? Well, I've got these marketing skills. I've got these sales skills, and I don't necessarily want to go back into employment. So, okay, so this is now my opportunity to, shall we say, shine bright and to create something for myself, right? I've got bigger aspirations, bigger goals. I wanted something for myself. I wanted my own baby. So, as in business. So I thought, okay. So I'll create a service. I'll create a service and I'll offer that service to the local companies. So my first 18 months, maybe a little bit longer, I was a service provider, right? Before I became a coach, before I developed leadership skills, before I did like mentoring, I before a business coach, I was a service provider, offering marketing and sales skills to the people that need it locally. So we're talking about dentists, we're talking about chiropractors, we're talking about solicitors, we're talking about printers, we're talking about just like any business that was on the high street that needed marketing and needed sales because they weren't doing very good. Anyway, so in a very short space of time, right, I ranked up some clients. I mean, like my back was against the wall. I needed to get some cash in the door. And in order for me to get cash, I needed to get clients, right? So I went full metal jacket. I went all in, and I was just like a bull in a china shop, right? Didn't really know what I was doing, but I just did it. I just did what I thought I needed to do. The consequences was, well, whilst the results were, well, I got clients and I got some cash, weren't necessarily generating the cash that I wanted to generate, but I got cash coming through the door. So the roof over my head was protected. I could keep the lights on and food on the table and all that stuff, right? Here's what I didn't see happening is that you only know what you know, and you obviously don't know what you don't know. That stands to reason. I guess a lot of people think that they know everything, and that's a big problem because you don't know everything. And to even believe and to think that you know everything is like naive. So I just went all in and I got a different array of clientele. So the consequences of what I did was I brought on like majority of all the clients I brought on board, they were the wrong type of clientele for me, right? They were nightmare clients. There were clients that didn't respect me, clients that didn't value me, clients that pushed the boundaries, clients that always commanded more of my time, clients that always paid late on their invoice, clients that always showed up late, left late, but never did the work, right? Clients that we would set time frame for when projects needed to be delivered by, yet a few days after they would phone me up and say, Andy, yeah, well, we've changed the time frame on that and we've brought it a lot closer, so we need things doing like ASAP basically. And they'd be saying things like, well, if you can't fulfill this, then we're just gonna have to get somebody else to fulfill it. And I'm like, seriously? So I brought on a lot of those people, right? And for the first 18 months of me being in business, right, I tolerated a lot of things that I didn't really or shouldn't have been tolerating as a business owner. But I was new in business. I only knew what I knew. There were a lot of things I didn't know. I was very, very green. And I just went for it. So there were a lot of tough love and there were a lot of tough lessons learned very, very early on. But let me just share, right, the consequences of that. See, the consequences of that is that the knock-on effect, what it had dramatic impact on me as a person, on my health, on my life, on my relationships, both intimately, like with my parents, my brother, and like social gatherings and stuff. Health wise, I just totally lost contact with a lot of me, and I could feel myself spiraling. My skin was horrible. I got blotches. My eyes were always red. I weren't losing. I was losing sleep. I wasn't sleeping. I was stressed all the time. I was scared of opening my emails because of all the emails that were getting in. I would wake up in the morning and I would like constantly people texting me, clients texting me, phoning me up. Can you come into the office today? Well, it's not scheduled in and all that stuff, right? So the first 18 months were an absolute nightmare. Now, the big problem, what I want you to understand from this and take away from this, because I don't want you to live by this, right? Because it's going to make your experience of it being a coach and a business owner not very nice at all, is that I tolerated this, which means that I accepted this. And I accepted this because I had no standards. I was going to say low standards, but really, I had no standards. None. I had no standards. Right? So because I had no standards, I tolerated all that crap within the first 18 months. Was it worth it? I learned a lot, right? But I wouldn't go back and relearn it. I wouldn't want to like walk that path again. I seriously wouldn't. So what I want to say to you, right, is that just because you know the strategies, right, just because you know the tactics and you feel as though you know everything, yet nothing's working, it's not necessarily, right, the strategy fault. Because you can see other people in your marketplace executing on the same strategy that you know that is somebody's passed on to you, yet it's not working for you. And if you've experienced like attracting nightmare clients, people that want to barter on price at the end of the sales conversation, well, I love what you do and I need what you do, yet I just can't afford you, right? Well, this is my budget. Can we do anything together? Right? So because you need the money, because potentially you've not got a client on board for the last, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month, 5 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, right? I had a conversation with a coach yesterday that only brought on board 2 clients throughout the whole last year, right? Now they don't have much standards, right? So they're willing just to bring people on board because they now need the money, right? They said that to me. And potentially, if you've experienced this, hi Meredith, if you've experienced this, then that's potentially you as well, right? And I want to shine light on this awareness so you don't have to do this. But understanding, right? By executing on what I share, you will actually, in a very, very short space of time, you will start attracting better quality clients. You see, when you don't have any standards, right, you've set the bar at a low level. You've set the bar at a low level. So if you've set the bar at a low level, right, chances are you're playing small. Chances are you're tipping your toe in and out, in and out, in and out. Chances are you're not very decisive in taking actions. There's chances that you're not being consistent in doing what you need to do on a regular basis. And I'm not talking about being consistent every day. Consistency is about being consistent with the actions that you take. So it's like 3 times a week, 3 times a week, 3 times a week, 3 times a week, right? Not just 2 times a day, twice this week, 4 times next week, and then you've got 2 weeks where you've just totally disappeared off the face of the planet, right? But if you've set your bar low, then chances are, right, your confidence levels are low. Chances are you're doubting yourself. You're doubting your next move. You're doubting the strategy. You're doubting whether people will pay this, right? You're bringing on board. You're attracting people that resonate at that low level. So that's where we get like the law of the mirror, right? It starts taking effect, and the law of the mirror is always working. The law of the mirror is always working. So if you're operating at a low level and you're out there operating at a low level, then and the law of the mirror is in action, then you're going to be attracting people that resonate with that level. And people that resonate at a low level, right, love them, but chances are, right, they're not what we call top tier clients. You're absolutely right. Those consequences, right, turn out to be amazing teachers. If I can teach you to avoid those mistakes that I made initially and learn from my mistakes, right, that's going to just totally collapse the time frame for you and for anybody else who's watching this, right? So if you like, if you can do what's required, so you don't have to experience the pitfalls and the frustrations and the stress and the ill health, right? That's going to allow you to have a better experience in business and start attracting better quality people quicker, sooner, and faster, so you can hit your goal quicker, right? But that's what hiring coaches is about, right? That's what hiring mentors is about. People that walk to the path that you want to walk on, so you can learn from their mistakes, so you can avoid the mistakes, so you can super speed things up. So let's go back, right? So what do you need to do? Right? What do you need to do? Well, you need to have standards. You need to have standards. Back then, I had no way of qualifying, right, a dream client. A client was a client. If they were willing to pay, I'm willing to take them on board. Right or wrongly, right, I took them on board. Now is a different world. Now is a different world, right? You need to raise the bar. You need to set better quality standards, higher standards. So when it comes to, and like seriously, you can implement this, execute this on every area, in every area of your life. But right now we're talking about business, and we're talking about attracting a better quality clientele that's willing to invest, like at that $10,000 level. At that $10,000 level, $12,000 level, right? Whatever level you want to attract them at, right? If you're not there yet, then this is what you need to do. And then once you've done this, execute on this strategy and be consistent with that, right? And start seeing results come your way. So let's talk about clientele, right? If you right now are attracting the people that potentially we've just talked about, those nightmare clients, right? And you've set no criteria, you've got no standards, right, within you work with, then it's time to start setting standards. So when we come to setting standards, what we're talking about, well, do you have a criteria? Do you have a list of, so for example, the characteristics of a $10,000 client? If you think about your next level client, and potentially if that is like a $10,000 client, right? And you don't have to ascend your way up to a $10,000 client. Just knowing and understanding, well, yes, you can solve their problem, right? There's people in the world that's suffering with a problem that you can solve. You've got a solution, and there's people already in the world that's selling that level. Then you don't have to ascend up to that level. You don't have to, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You can just go straight into that level. So, but you need to have a list of characteristics of who that next level client is. So what are the characteristics? Create a list. What are the requirements, right? What do they need to have in place in order for them to work with you? Yeah. What are the behaviors of that next level client? You see, so now you're no longer just qualifying people based on, well, they've got a problem and I can solve that problem, right? Because understanding, whilst the world is full of problems, not all problems are treated equally, right? So we're no longer just qualifying people on a problem. We're now qualifying people on deeper levels, right? More personable qualities. So what's the requirements of them working with you? What do they need to have in place? What do they need to have gone through? And you can have this list, right, in all these different industries, not just I have a list, right? But my clients have a list who are leadership coaches in this industry and fitness coaches in this industry. Create a list of requirements that they need to have. It's like a tick box, right? Like a checkbox. Then the characteristics. What are the characteristics of this next level client? Because there's somebody down here and then there's somebody up here, right? And I can swear, right? The characteristics of these different people, and whilst they've got the same problem, The characteristics are totally different. What are the behaviors? Right? And the list can go on and on and on and on. And here's the magical thing with this, right? You can create a list that allows you to qualify people, right? A checklist that they need that you need to make sure that they've got. But as you develop in business, right, and as you bring more people on board, that list gets stronger. Because the more people you work with and you understand, well, they've got this quality and I really don't like this quality and I really don't work with anybody else again with it's got this type of characteristic or behavior, you can add that to the list. And every time you add to the list, you're raising your bar, right? You're raising your level. But here's the thing, right? Is that in order for this to work, you have got to raise your own standards. It's okay having standards for people that you want to bring in, right? But if you don't level up yourself, and if you don't play a bigger game, if you don't raise your own bar to these standards, right? The law of them, nothing will change. This is the thing. This is the key. All right, this is the missing piece for a lot of coaches that are struggling to get all these strategies right because they're operating down here. By raising your standards and raising your bar and you playing at a bigger level, higher level, right, you're going to operate on a different frequency. You might think, Andy, that's a bit woo-woo, right? It is whatever you think it is, right? But if you do not raise your bar and your standards, right, the law of the mirror, right, will always work. If you raise your standards, the law of the mirror will work again, right? Because your next level client will see in you what they want to see in themselves. And if they never see that, then you're never going to attract them. You're never going to attract them. So right now, if you're always attracting the people that can't pay or can't invest or don't have the money or they're never resourceful enough or they don't do the work or they show up late or they start but they never follow through. Right? They never see the coaching to the end. They disappear off the face of the earth. Then is that their fault or is that your fault? If you want better quality people that's ready to invest at that level, it starts with you. It starts with you to be who you need to be in order to have the business that you want. And in order for that to happen, you need to set new standards. One of those standards might be, I am not willing to tolerate to only book in 4 calls a week. I'm not tolerating the end of the day that I don't have 1 call booked in my calendar. On a financial note, it might be a case of setting new standards where you're not tolerating that your new threshold, financial threshold, that when you look at your bank account, if you see anything less in there than $25,000 cash that you can pull on, right, then you're beneath low-level standards. So you create a new threshold, right? You can create new standards whenever you decide to create new standards. And all it means for you just to understand what them standards are, raise the bar and yourself, and start executing at that level. And, when we talk about raising standards, we're not talking about doing more. Right? It's not about working more. It's not about working longer. Because chances are, if you're doing what you should be doing, right, every business needs input. Now, unless you're lazy, then nothing's going to work anyway, right? And one of the things that we do not do is work with lazy people. People who just expect something for nothing, right? It's not going to work. And it never will work, right? But if you're willing to show up and work, right, you don't have to do more work. Chances are, if you're a worker, then you already met your bandwidth, right? there's no more time to put into your business, and you don't need to, and you shouldn't do. You should actually be able to build your business, right, on very few hours, just by basically raising your standards, because your message is going to get stronger. You're going to operate on a different frequency, right? You're going to show up a lot more powerful. You're playing a bigger game, right? You're no longer pussyfooting around. You're no longer being a people pleaser. You no longer have these negative self-talks. You're not carrying around with you language that is negative, that is doubtful, that is pitiful, that is victimhood. Why is this happening to me? Why is it not working for me? Will people pay me this? I never attract the right quality clients. Why does it always work for them and not me? When you raise the bar, there's no room for language like that. And seriously, you adopt that, you execute on that, and for 30 days, each and every day, right, show from a high level, play full out, play big, go all in, and it'll not be long, right, before you start seeing results, I guarantee. But if you just carry on playing at this level, then you can't expect anything different. You can't expect anything different, right? I said to my clients earlier on, if you can carry on playing at that level, and you will get there. It's just going to take some time, right? But the journey and the experience that you're going to have to get there is going to be one hell of a roller coaster ride. It's going to be one hell of a roller coaster ride. And believe me, you're going to have a lot more downs than you are ups. If you decide to raise the bar, raise the game, raise the level, step up, go all in, and guarantee results quicker and easier than what you're currently experiencing. So that's all I have for you. So I'm interested, has any of this resonated with you? Has there been any, wow, yeah, I've not thought about that, because truthfully, I can't remember me ever hearing anybody say that in the last, like anybody else talk about that. Everybody else is talking about strategy. Everybody else is talking about tactics. Everybody else is talking about DM scripts and sales scripts and getting people into your Facebook group and all this stuff. Strategic stuff, which I know that you've executed on, you've implemented on, but you've not got the results. Business is more of an insider game than an outsider game. And if you don't manage to control your insider dialogue, your insider game, then you're never going to experience the results on the outside. And that's why I titled this, Going High Ticket is less about them and it's more about you. So if you've got any questions or insights or breakthroughs or aha moments from what I've just talked about over the last 38 minutes, 40 minutes, then share them here. Share them with me. But it's not just about sharing them with me, but it also helps other people see that, I'm not alone here. Yeah, other people are experiencing this as well. Don't hide in the shadows. That's playing small, right? Hiding in the shadows is playing small. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those ups and downs, they're horrible. They are absolutely horrible. But there's no reason why you should experience them. And yes, there's a lot of lessons there, right? But if you can overcome those and get to where you want to get to a lot quicker, wouldn't that make life a lot more pleasurable? And I'm sure that whatever your goal is, Meredith, whether it's your first 100K in coaching sales, maybe it's not, right? I don't know. Would you not rather get there quicker so you can actually start experiencing that sooner and living that lifestyle sooner? Or experience them results like sooner than having to wait and having to go through all that like dreaded roller coaster ride? Right? Cool. Right, I'm going to love you and leave you. It's 6:20. I'll just come up to 6:20 in the evening, and I've got a little girl waiting for me upstairs that we're going to do some shopping together. Okay, so I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'm going to catch you tomorrow. I'm going to share another training with you tomorrow that is going to be super insightful, just as powerful as this, based on the same principles and theories of success is an insider game and not an outsider game. There's again implemented and executed with this can just super exceed your results faster. So until then, I'll speak to you soon.